Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was getting carried away there, Mick.
That's not like you at all, Dan.
No, not at all. Welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments, and questions live. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello. Hello, and welcome. Sorry, just sorting out levels as usual. I reckon this mic might have a problem with it. Speak.
Hello.
No, it's the same. It's the old compression thing that happens.
Oh, okay.
I suppose this is why TV shows and the like have producers.
Yes, because they can run around and do all that stuff.
People doing things.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to VCQ. Thanks for joining us on this lovely Monday evening. Or Monday here, anyway.
Indeed. Has it been windy here over the
yes,
weekend?
Tremendous windiness. Many trees down on my morning dog walk. What about you?
Yeah, same.
Any damage to humans or property?
Yeah, just damage to property.
Yeah,
just,
your property?
The chair was blown over.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, no serious.
It might have scuffed the chair.
Right.
We don't have all the details yet. We're waiting for the full report.
For the insurance claim. Yeah.
Yeah, apart from that, no.
Apart from that, all good.
All good.
I'm going to turn the super chats off straight away because we've got loads. BV Ninja, thank you very much. Sorry, BV as we are now. Thank you very much for being in there in the chats and moderating for us and being part of the club. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So if you super chatted until this point, we will answer. That's it. You're out of there.
You're out of there.
But of course, it never lets me quite turn it off. YouTube never. There's always. If you do anything in YouTube's favour, it's an instant one click.
Oh, okay.
If you do anything that YouTube doesn't want you to do, it's always a click and a confirm, and then it reverts back to not being quite right and a click and a confirm again.
Okay.
I don't believe it's by coincidence, Daniel.
Okay.
Being a sub-conspiracy theorist as I am.
Gordon Rankin says, hello, Legends. 34 degrees in sunny Cincinnati. Big change this last week. 1 week till the rock boat. Can't wait. Yes. Wish we were going on the rock boat. That would be fun. It's been a bit warmer here. It was freezing last week and a little bit warmer here, but windy.
What's the rock boat?
It's there's a bunch of bands that play on a big ship, and they go out and they
Nice.
basically have gigs like 24 hours a day for like a week.
Rockers afloat.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Bonamassa does something similar, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
The blues cruise.
Have you ever done a cruise?
Neither type of cruise, not a blues cruise or a normal cruise.
Right.
I quite fancy a cruise, actually.
So when I first got to Singapore, my first gig was on a cruise ship for 2 months.
Oh, God.
And man alive, it was amazing. You know, one thing I'll never forget, the first night's sleep on the boat.
Yeah.
You were gently rocking the whole night, and I slept for like 11 hours straight. It was like being in the womb again.
Which, of course, we can all remember. How did you? How regularly did you get off the boat in the 2 months?
Oh, every 4 or 5 days.
Oh, I see. So you didn't have like sea legs when you got off or anything.
No, but you could just like, I'm on land again.
Yeah, this isn't moving.
Yeah. No, I was crew on a yacht in Sydney. I was used to get to sea all the time, so I'm used to getting the sea legs thing. But the cruise ship is just like a floating city.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
I watch them. Some friends of ours live on the estuary there, where they come in and out of Southampton, and we watch them go by. It's like,
yeah. It's they're absolutely mega.
Yeah. Well, That Pedal Show at Sea, I think.
Come on.
Captain Dan?
Welcome aboard.
Oh, no, it's Lieutenant Dan, isn't it?
Lieutenant Dan.
And obviously Forrest Mick. Okay. We should do a little roll call, I suppose. We hope you all had a pleasant weekend and did things that were more fun than work, but, you know, we appreciate that some people work at the weekends as well.
Gordon Rankin says, Rockboat, 32 bands with 2,500 people on board. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I think if you look up hell in the dictionary, there's just a picture. I'm joking, of course. I've just forgotten how this works, Dan.
That pedal boat show.
Content, there we go.
Content.
Before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping then. So we are going to have 3 gigs coming up in the UK in early May. May the 1st, I believe.
The 1st of May.
Wednesday. It's a Wednesday night, unfortunately, but anyway.
Yep. with our dear friend Andy Timmins. So
Yeah.
Andy's coming over, so we're going to do a few gigs with Andy. So the first gig, Wednesday the 1st of May, is going to be at the Cavern in Liverpool. The Friday night, the 3rd of May, is going to be at Fat Lil's in Whitney. And there'll be another gig either on the Thursday or the Saturday to be confirmed.
Yeah, we're trying to get a venue in Cardiff at the moment, but we're just struggling to work that out. So, yes, we're trying to fill in the extra date.
Yes.
So we can do three nights. As everything with TPS, obviously planned way in advance and brilliantly before we know what's going on. Not. So, yeah, it should be fun. So the point of telling you that, you can't buy tickets at the moment, but the point of telling you that is if you're interested in coming, you're in the UK and you want to come and you want to be advised of when the tickets go on sale, sign up to our newsletter at thatpedalshow.com or thatpedalshowstore.com. Either one of those will be fine, and you will be among the first to hear about it if you want to get tickets.
Yes.
They did sell pretty quickly last time, so
Yeah, it's really fun, and we have
gratifying.
Yeah, we'll have other stuff happening during the day. Like we'll have certain tickets for meet and greets as well, and come and hang out, and we can
depending on the gig.
Depending on the gig, of course. Yeah, but it's really really fun. They're really fun gigs. So yes.
And don't worry, it's not just us. It is Andy Timmins as well.
Yeah.
So there's a fair to middling chance of some decent guitar playing. Right. Who have we got on? Simon Uphill is on. Hi, Simon. Brian Carpenter is on.
Craig Rubbins,
From Michigan.
Brett Hussey,
Lefty O'Bass.
Todd Roy, Chris Quinn,
Danny Morales is on. Isaac Howell.
Peppo Joe, James Blessed,
David Burke is on. The Juggernaut.
F.I. Ed, g'day mate.
I Am Stoic Dan is on, who has observed that your stitches are no longer there, Daniel.
No, the stitches have been removed. I think there's still some dissolvable stitches underneath those stitches that are still dissolving. But it feels good.
Angus McLean. Hi, Angus. From Edinburgh. Benjamin's on. Carl Harkus is on. Shane Lofton. Chris Warburton. Craig Robbins. Brett Hussey. Chris Quinn. Lots of old friends. It's really nice.
Lovely
to hear from all of you guys. Thank you for being with us. Yeah, nice. Okay. Let's dive headlong
indeed
to the super chats. Now, we missed one last week, of which I'm very sorry, and I just need to check which one it was. So we'll kick off with that. We missed it, and I apologise. My dad has just texted to say I'm in for Fat Lils.
Oh, cool.
Hello, Dad. Right. It was from Alexandra Billodieu. Alexandra Billodieu. Oh, Bilodeau. Sorry. Bilodeau. He says, hi, Legends. Any suggestion on humbucker pickups to put in my Les Paul studio? I would like more clarity, but still compliment my SG Standard 61.
Interesting. So the clarity thing, the obvious choice is PAF style thing.
Very much.
What the PAFs are really good at, I find the PAFs complement single coil guitars really well because they still have clarity, they have treble and bite, but they're still humbuckers. There's still a fatness to them, but they're not. They don't have crazy high output like, one thing with humbuckers, as they got louder and louder and the guitars want to be more distorted.
Yeah, Dan's Red Telly, for example, way overpowers my R7 Les Paul.
Yeah, but it's not a high powered pickup.
No,
but that's
yeah, which I appreciate will be horrific news for Les Paul fans.
Sure.
But it is true. The Monty's ones are great.
The Monty's are great.
Monty's, I don't know where you are. Your name is Alexandra Bilodeau, so I'm assuming you may be in Europe somewhere, maybe France or Belgium or somewhere like that. Or you may not be. But if you're in the UK, we'd really, really recommend Monty's PAFs.
Yeah.
Bare Knuckle makes really nice PAFs. But there's a lot of people who just aren't convinced by the underwound pickup argument. And when you're on the pickup site, you'll know this if you've ever done it. You'll be like, oh, I'll just get those because they're 10% more output.
Yeah.
Don't buy those ones.
Yes, indeed.
Buy the weakest ones they sell, and then that will probably sit alongside your your SG quite nicely.
Yeah. OX4 is also really good.
Yeah. Just anything that pertains to be traditional PAF alike, and in addition to that, make sure it's 50s wired. And in my own experience, I would recommend replacing the whole loom with really good quality pots. Make sure they measure 500 or more. Because if you get cheapo pots and they're, well, worst case scenario, they could even be 300s. But if you've got 500s and they've got 20% tolerance on them, they could be quite a long way down from 500. Some of the signature Gibsons that we've seen over the years have specified 550s even, just to get that little more clarity and treble sing from them. Get it 50s wired, some nice caps. It's just money well spent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah.
Or you know, if you rip it all to pieces and you measure your pots and they're up near 500, all good. But rewire it 50s, nice caps, and that will really work. I think I've got Lola low wind Imperials in my 335, which I really, really love. They are great too. But yeah, I don't know what's in your studio at the moment. It might be the what might it be? It might be the ceramic pairing that they did in Gibsons for ages, the 498 and the 500 or something like that. So the difference between that pickup and a traditional PAF is colossal.
Yeah.
And you'll notice it instantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good.
Or 498 and 496 maybe they were. I don't know. My brain, Daniel.
You had a busy weekend. I've seen pictures.
Oh, yes, I did. I went to see the Stacey Brothers Steely Dan thing at Ronnie Scott's on Saturday night, which was exceptional. Thank you for everyone who's involved in that. Just remarking to Daniel, it's not very often now you can go and see musicians of that calibre in that number at that volume in such a small space. That is a rare occurrence.
Lovely.
There's full horn section, 3 backing singers, piano and keyboard. Obviously Paul on guitar. It was, and other people as well, not to look over them, but it was just a very, very musical experience. And then on Sunday, Rosie did a mock level 1 scenting trial. Now, to be fair, she's ability-wise, she's way past that, but
she's well advanced for a pupper age.
We've never done the competition thing with her, and I don't really want to do it because, anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, our dog trainer guy is going to start running trials at his place, so we did a mock.
And how'd she go?
She came joint first.
Come on, Rosie. And Mick.
And she would have come way first had it not been for me. So I made a daft schoolboy error. And that's the way, dog people, you'll know, you're not training the dogs, you're training the owners, aren't you? And anyway, the most important thing is that she enjoys it. She loves doing it, and that's why we do it. It's good for her brain. So well done. Very proud of my little dog for being so brilliant at sniffing stuff. Yeah, anyway, sorry. What did you do, Dan? Did you have a nice weekend?
I had a good weekend. What did I do? I've been editing video all weekend, and I've run into Mick's told me about this interesting thing that happens with microphones when you're trying to edit video with a specific number of microphones. I've been trying to edit a video that has 3 lapel mics, and it's the weirdest thing because it's all the phase and craziness. So, this interview is like 35 minutes long, and it's an hour to do 5 minutes worth of it. When
I tell Dan this stuff, he goes, "Oh,
no, yeah."
And then you sit there and you do it. Yeah, that's people often say, "Why don't you use lapel mics?" And the A is because I hate them. And B is because I really hate them. Actually, they do sound good, but they do require a lot of post.
Yeah.
And anyway, blah blah. Because they're omnis, right?
Yes. And so there's that phase.
Whereas these are highly directional. These things that we use, so you don't quite get the same issues. Anyway, blah 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 blah.
A couple of people are asking about. They thought we're going to NAMM. No, we're not at NAMM. We have an experience day happening this Friday, which we're really excited about. We're going to find some other excuse to get to America this year. I really want to get to Nashville and do some country music stuff. But yes, no NAMM for us this year.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few people who've emailed and said, "Are you coming to NAMM?" And 4 months ago, I'm like, "No, I don't want to go to NAMM." And then this week, I'm like, "Oh, I'm a bit sad we're not going to NAMM."
I was absolutely fine with it, but then it's like, oh, because we haven't been. When was the last time we went?
I went last year.
You went last year, but before that, it was like pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Like,
and the flights are cheap as well again now.
Okay.
Anyway,
well,
cheap.
Are they doing a summer winter NAMM this year?
Don't know.
Anyway.
This is winter NAMM, obviously, but anyway. So to all of our friends going to NAMM, have fun and enjoy it, and maybe we'll go next year. Maybe we will. It's just such a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
It is a colossal amount of money. Good. Lots of people are saying it wasn't ceramic pickups in the studios. They're normally the 498 Alnicos.
Oh, okay.
David Burke knows a lot about that. Chris Quinn knows a little bit about that.
Michael Lamblin.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
You might. You could even try just 50s wiring it with the current pickups. That might do what you need.
And reducing the height and stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, push them down a bit. 50s wiring, you'd be amazed what a difference it makes. Because one thing the 50s wiring does, it makes the pots much more usable over a bigger proportion of their travel. So the guitar will stay a little bit more bright as you turn it down.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of classic 4-pot Gibson players use their controls so much, because the controls are the tones are just so much more usable than they are on a Strat or a Tele down at sort of 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
What you can get out of this stuff.
Well, even more so in the flipping stereo Veritone 345. Dan and I made a video on it last week, which will come out next Friday, and it's astonishing. Amazing. The sounds in that thing.
Amazing.
Needless to say, I'm not modding it. Anyway, someone asked what kind of dog is Rosie Ritesh Shahi. What breed is Rosie? She is a Sprocker Spaniel. She is half Springer Spaniel, half Cocker Spaniel. In America, I think you call those particular types of Cocker Spaniels Field Spaniels, as opposed to the show. Here we have working Cockers and show Cockers. Rosie's a working Cocker and Springer. So she is officially a mongrel, as I found out at the vet. What breed is she? I'm like, Sprocker Spaniel. Mongrel.
No.
Yeah, well, Ziggy, mongrel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not a proper breed, mate. Sorry. Anyway, there we are. Go mongrels.
Bless him.
Anyway, we've managed one super chat, Dan.
20 minutes in.
In fact, well, no, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Managed one. So Selen, first super chat. Hello, Selen. I would love to see some nerdy stuff like tube swapping. New versus old preamp tubes, perhaps. Pickup covers, without covers, or anything similar. Anyway, cool fuzz show. I love the full-tone Mass Marlowe fuzz these days. Yeah,
I love the fuzz show, actually. I wasn't expecting, I mean, it's always fun, but I wasn't expecting to like it as much. But man alive, there were some incredible sounds.
Some good noises, weren't
really, really, really great stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what I love the reading through all of your comments. Thank you for your comments. We do read everyone. We don't respond to everyone, but we do read everyone. And what I love about that is that some people, the Thorpe got a lot of love. The Cunningham got a lot of love. But then after that, everything got some love.
Yeah.
Everyone preferred one thing or another, and that means we kind of done our job, I think. Yeah. People are like, oh yeah, that would work for me, or that wouldn't work for me. But thank you for that.
Van Hager's just saying, what year SG is that? This is a 62 that I have on loan at the moment, with the possibility of perhaps.
I've put the pressure on Dan, saying if he doesn't buy it, I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm going to find a way, because it's the most amazing guitar.
Go and sell all the rest of my gear, and maybe do a bit of busking, and maybe even take a small bank loan, because that guitar is not leaving this place.
No, it isn't. Sorry. Yes, I'm definitely getting it. And so there was also a question about how I'm finding the sideways vibrato. So this has been modded. There's a kit that sort of locks this off, because these are impossible. But it definitely it has a sound. This thing.
So the vibrato doesn't work.
The vibrato doesn't work. No,
Yeah.
it's been locked off.
Yeah.
They never worked. To be fair.
Yeah.
They're just horrific
So it's there.
things.
It's there for.
It's just there for tone duties.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've
Similar story with Derek Truck's SG, although his is the Maestro. His is no vibrato on it, but he left the plate there
okay.
because I guess maybe visually, maybe tonally, don't know.
But that just looks so freaking cool.
It really does. I actually think that looks cooler than the Maestro.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I was listening. Dan, I won't give you his full name. Who's going to buy my reissue 61? Who contacted me this week, and it's a wonderful guitar. And listening to it because that vibrola works really well. I've got the original plate, but I've also got a roller bridge on that, and that sorted out all those issues. But is that thing, right, where anywhere that the string can pinch, it's going to create an issue. And if you look at the mechanism under here, it's hilarious.
I'm expecting a whole load of comments going, man, we could fix that. It's called a sideways vibrola, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Van Hagar, what's it called? Sideways vibrola,
Yes.
we think.
Because what would happen is you would stretch this out like this, and instead of going like this, you would go like this. It's quite hilarious. Okay, right. So, one in.
Aaron says, I'll miss having drinks since you're not going. Cucumber, not lime. Yes, that's how I like my gin. And Dan and I, we're overdue for a meet. Love you. Next year, Aaron. Sorry, mate. I do feel a bit sad we're not going now.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, the question was stuff like tube swapping. We did a little bit of that with the Deluxe Reverb show, and we were both astounded at the difference it made. Tube types this was, not necessarily two different 12X7s or ECC 83s. I'm going to buy a couple of old Mullards for that, just to see.
For the Turok?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a slippery slope.
After we did that and then some other things, and then somebody posted in the comments, get a different tube for the tube driver, and I thought, okay, so I went on to buy the tube for the tube driver, and I was like, oh, look what's over here. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop however much. The trouble is with NOS tubes, or you just don't know, do you? You don't know. You would need 10 of them to really make a decision.
Totally. You've got it. Yeah,
I'm going to do it anyway because,
yeah,
that's that. As far as covered or uncovered humbuckers, we probably wouldn't get into that because it means soldering irons, taking them on and off. For me, and I say this with all sincerity, the choice between covered and uncovered is whether it looks right on the guitar. So I'm of the opinion I don't want to see uncovered humbuckers on Gibson guitars. It's just not my thing. But I know there's a lot of people out there who really love it. Similarly, I don't really want to see a covered humbucker in a Strat. I want it uncovered because I want to see the coils so that it matches the other coils.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like,
you know what though? There's really
Monday,
something.
Tuesday, Friday.
Yes.
No, I don't want that.
No, I don't want that. There's a little guy in there.
Yeah.
This one's no one.
And then I'll fix the tonal stuff elsewhere.
I'm a professional.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting thing though, because I've got, I'm middle-aged and I've got at my study, I've got guitars hung on a wood panel wall, as is the law, like when you hit 50. But there is something about the iconic nature of these classic instruments, and you don't want to see them.
No, I don't.
It's like, and in the morning I get up and this is hung on the wall. I'm like, now if this was uncovered with, it'd be like different thing.
I think the time where it's right is if the modification makes sense for you and you alone.
Sure.
And you make a mod to a guitar and that becomes your mod. Phil X with the little man in the front pickup. Only Phil X is allowed to do that.
Only.
Unless he nicked it off someone. But that's the way I feel about it. And if you want to put a Floyd on your 335 and it works for you, great.
Surely
Just
Gibson,
don't expect me to like
no,
it.
no. But surely Gibson are going to do a version of that guitar with a little Phil X in here.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Maybe. On that subject, Todd Roy says, I love the look and sound of the new Gibson Falcon amps. Yeah, funny enough, Dan and I had a text from Lee Anderson earlier on. He was saying, you guys going to NAMM, anything we should look out for? And I was saying, I'm really interested in the Gibson amps. Are they going to be Gibson amps or are they just rebranded Mesas? Sorry. And apparently they are pretty true to the originals, which would be cool because they were their own thing.
Yeah.
Those Gibson amps.
Are they doing that little... the whole range, including the GA15, the Nightingale, I think it's called, or
Yeah, I think there's a 5 and a 20 watt maybe, or 5 and a 15 watt
that
or something.
5 watt has been used in thousands of recordings. Amazing little studio amplifier.
Yeah. So
let's get that in and do another small amp show.
That'll be
really
interesting.
Fun.
Well, yeah, see if they'll send us one. We have been invited to the opening of the Gibson Garage, by the way, in London.
Oh, cool.
You should have had an email. Have you had an email?
No.
Okay, we might need to check your junk folder.
Okay.
So maybe we will. Eagle Ray Rob says, thoughts on Two Rock's acquisition of Divided by 13? Yeah, interesting.
Very, very interesting.
So we know Eli pretty well, and he is a very, very, very serious dude. He knows his shit in a big way. He really does. He personally tests every amp that goes out the door of Two Rock. And he's a very serious guy in so many ways. And that is good news, I think, for Divided by 13.
Yeah.
I think that's really good news. Yeah. Lots of very cool people play Divided by 13 amps.
Yeah. I remember first I'd heard about them was Rob Harris from Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
And then Lyle Workman on the album Harmonic Crusader. He was saying he used Divided by 13 amps, and the guitar tones in that thing are outrageous. Of course, he's just a monumental guitar player. And then I started looking into them, and then, man, they did some really serious amplifiers. And I'd be really interested to see what Eli's going to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
I think Eli gets asked quite regularly, why doesn't Two Rock do any more EL84 amps? And it's kind of like, it's not really the Two Rock thing.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the Divided by 13 thing to do those kind of amps. So it does feel like a good fit. It doesn't feel like there'll be any great competition in the two ranges.
Yeah, because they're so different. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Bless you, Gordon Rankin. He says, Gordon says, I can send you some properly measured tubes. I've got 5,000 in stock. Bless you.
Oh, mate. Thank you, buddy.
Bless you. David Burke says, I'm generally a covered humbucker person, but for my Candy Apple Red Les Paul, I just had to have open coil zebras. Yeah, I can see that. Anyway, sorry, we do need to hurry up. Joe Halliday is on from Hello Sailor. Hi, Joe.
Good day, mate.
Nice to hear from you. Hello, Legends. He said, as if I didn't already have a fuzz pedal addiction, the Tacit Blue by Thorpe is now top of my gas list.
Yep.
Yeah,
You really hit me, that thing.
Eagle Ray Rob bought one as well. He said, I got ahead of the TPS rush. If you could have any vintage fuzz pedal, what would it be? I'll go first. Jimmy's Fuzz Face from Woodstock 69. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In fact, I'd go for the... seeing as you've bagged that one, I'll go for a 67 or 68 one. Just before he went to Silicon. I'd have a listen to that.
I'll go for Mick Ronson's...
Tone Bender. Nice.
Yeah.
That'll do.
That'll do me nicely.
That will do. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what? I think so a couple of things. I've decided there's no way I can get rid of the 65 Telly. It's not going anywhere. It's the most divine guitar. So thank you for everyone who called in about that, or wrote in about that, but no, I'm not getting rid of that. But I honestly think that I'll be spending more and more time on this.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there's something about, this has like hit me like a brick. There's something about the clarity of that, but the fatness, especially for doing lines and sort of jazzier things. But that neck, Sorry, I'm digressing, but it's like I can see myself spending more time with humbuckers. So I think I'm going to go for a tone bender style fuzz pedal.
Yeah, you will for a while. I'd be interested to see once we get playing loud again.
Oh yeah,
Because
sure.
my prediction is you'll play that for a couple of songs and you'll pick up the telly.
Sure.
Because you'll be like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And you'll need to do another 50 gigs.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's right.
Before you're like, actually,
So
this is now first
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Wisdom
Well,
there, young Michael.
I don't know about that. But anyway. PJR says a 2-rock and an SG, but no cable. Yeah, we don't play.
We couldn't afford the cable.
Yeah.
We got the two at SG. There was nothing left.
Have I got to buy the cable extra? Yeah, we don't play on VCQ. If you're new, it's just too much hassle. Sorry. Sam Coulson. Hello, Sam. He says, hello, Legends. I've been refreshing the personal gear for sale page all week. Is there any news on what else you might put on and when? Thanks for anything. Oh, Sam, sorry. We should probably post an update that there'll be nothing new on there immediately unless Dan's got something.
Yeah, I'm going through my stuff at the moment to see if there is anything that I'd be happy to move on, because I'm going to need to fund this. So, and there are a couple of things, but it's going to take me at least a week.
Yeah, I'll put up a little. Maybe we'll either suspend the page or do something. So sorry for that. I think there's maybe one thing that's still live on there, My Boogie, which I know I've reached the amount I needed to pay for the 345, so I actually don't have to sell anything else, which is pretty cool.
Amazing. Well done, mate. That's awesome. How do you feel now that Blue's gone?
I feel really good. I've been having a nice chat with Graham, the chap who bought it, and he's really happy it's arrived safely.
Great.
And he feels pretty happy about it.
That's awesome, dude.
And yeah, it just feels good. I sent him an email today and just said, it was a really important chapter and stuff in my life, and now I hope it's going to be one in his. So yeah, it's good.
That's lovely.
I feel great about selling it to someone that I've met and looked in the eye. I think I said this last week, rather than it just going to some dude on eBay who you don't know, which could be equally as good a sale, as it were. But I don't know, having a little bit of a connection with somebody makes it good.
Yeah.
But no, I feel great about it. I feel a bit lighter at having less stuff, and I would like to continue that trajectory.
Yeah. That's great, mate.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, especially because before I decided to do all of that, we hadn't really. I'd played the 345 and I just knew that it was a guitar. I knew it was a guitar that I never wanted to let go. I wasn't sure what the gap between that and it working for me in a loud environment was going to be. Like, what electronic modifications would it need because of the stereo and the Veritone and all that. But actually, I haven't done any gigs with it yet, but sat in here loud, no modifications required. Because the range of tones in it are crazy, and we'll see how that fares in the real world. Because in here, it's like, but in the real world, it might just be like, oh God, I can't deal with this. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And the only way you learn that is to do it.
Yeah.
And then make your decision once you've done that.
Sure. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So sorry, Sam. There'll be no updates for at least a week, maybe 10 days. Mike, hello, Mike. I've just discovered the unalloyed joy of rolling back the volume knob when using a fuzz face.
There you go.
To coax those sparkly clean tones. Are there any non-fuzz gain pedals that achieve similar results?
Yeah. So, you're looking for pedals that have lower input impedance. So Mad Professor, I think it's the, is it the Sweet Honey Overdrive? And there's a couple there that do it, but they're really beautiful overdrives that just clean up so well. There is another one that cleans up beautifully, if you can find one, is a Red Llama, the Way Huge Red Llama. That's another that cleans up spectacularly well. I find the pedals that have got the higher standard 1 meg input. But saying that, the Boss Blues driver, if you've got if you want to normal overdrive pedals to clean up. A treble bleed mod on the volume pot works wonders. Andy Timmons' clean tone is a treble bleed on the master volume, and he rolls that back on his, which is now the 80 Super Mod, which is based off a really beautiful old Keeley modded blues driver. And that his clean tone is like legendary, and it is through that overdrive circuit, but you can't get that unless you've got that treble bleed.
Yeah.
But if you try and use a treble bleed into a fuzz face, it can get very hurty.
Yeah.
So
it's also, so input impedance is important. Output impedance is also important, because this happens on fuzz pedals. You'll see it. Oh no, we talked about it in the show from Friday, where something like a tone bender, for example, relatively high output impedance. So if you turn the volume down on the guitar, you might get the front end relationship happening, but because the pedal's struggling to push the rest of the signal chain in terms of capacitance, it sounds dull. Now, if you turn your delay pedal on after the tone bender, boom, it all comes back.
Yeah.
Why? Because the delay pedal's got low output impedance. It can then push the rest of the capacitance down the chain, and you won't lose the high end. So for sure, it's important what's on the input. It's also important what's on the output. If you're really a fan of that kind of sound, check out Providence's Vitalizer circuit, which is in most of the Providence pedals, and also the Free the Tone version of it, which is, Dan might balk at this a bit, but because I know a buffer's a buffer, but it's one of the strongest and most obvious buffers that I've ever used.
Right.
So if you use something like their final booster, and interestingly enough, Ainsley Lister uses this, and Ainsley is constantly on his volume control.
yeah,
And he uses gain damps all the time, but he's got his final booster, his Free the Tone final booster on all the time, and that gives the thing such a kick with its, always on buffer circuit. That keeps that guitar sparkly all the time.
yeah.
And it's it's a groovy thing.
Yeah, it's really funny. I love his guitar sound. I remember being in the room with him, and the amps are loud, and there's a lot of gain and noise and stuff. But what's really funny, you go and see him live, you don't hear any of that noise. The guitar is just so beautiful and clear, and it's like noise is an interesting thing, I think. Yeah, but anyway.
Great sound.
Chris
man. Chris says, Mick, really enjoyed the audio recording video from the other week. Did you flip the CXM to balanced ins and outs from unbalanced? Yes, I did. So Chris is referring to, I used the CXM reverb and also the Binson Eckerek as outboard gear on some drum tracks. And there's a way in which when you power up the CXM, if you hold down a certain foot switch, it will come up in balanced mode, meaning you can use TRS jacks instead of regular TS jacks, and therefore get balanced signal. What I couldn't work out is how to make it kill dry, because I'm not sure mine's got the firmware that will do that.
Oh, okay. But, it might just go 100%.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That is a good question. Maybe you could do it that way. But what then happens is you have to have the reverb sliders so low that any tiny change makes a massive difference.
Yeah, because they're already very tweaky.
Yeah. What was the boost and Ainsley uses, says Andreas Johansson? It's the Free the Tone final booster. It's white and it has one knob.
It's the final booster.
I've got one here somewhere. This is probably one of the other pedals that I seem to have lost just recently. I'll reiterate, if anyone has got my Free the Tone delay, can you please let me know?
I've had a look for it. I mean, I haven't.
I think I might have lent it to Mark Kember.
Okay.
Because he lent us the green muff, I might have gone, I need to lend you something as well. Anyway, this is the final booster.
It's very cool.
Yeah, that's the booster Ainsley used. Free the Tone final booster. and it's got their, I don't know what they call it in this, but it's their non-true bypass buffered thing, and that does wonders. If you want it to do wonders, it can be a bit hateful with certain fuzz pedals.
D. Sarko says, did I actually just hear Mick say he sold blue and Dan says the SG may be his new number one? Surely this isn't real life. It's all a dream.
Yeah, no, both of those things are true. Yes, D. Starco, both of those things are true. Right, sorry, we are doing really badly. We are now going to hurry up. Okay. Jason Sears, I saw Jared James Nicholas on Friday night. Nichols, sorry. What life and energy. Inspirational. Be great to have him on the show. He's not much of a pedal user. So Dan and Mick can use their seductive powers to gain a convert. He would be great to have on.
He would be great.
He's a monster player.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to say, though, no pick guard and no neck pickup. Les Paul, just weird.
They never made that style Les Paul, did they? With just a single humbucker?
Like a Les Paul,
like a junior type thing,
like a Les Squire.
Well, there's obviously there's the double cut. Yeah, it's very good. There's a double cutaway. There's the flat body one.
Yeah,
but they never made a
special.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine Les's response to that. He's like, "Why are you putting a bridge backup in? I don't really need that."
Yeah.
No, that's not true. Actually, that's not true. Yes, it would be great to have Jared on. We would love that.
Yes.
James Blessed, afternoon, gents. Hello, James. He says, NGD soon. Do you have an experience of Reverend, including the Greg Koch signature and the Yamaha Revstar? Keep up the great work. I played a few Reverend guitars at Anderson's and always liked them. They were always really nice to play, really well set up. The control set made sense. Some of the Reverend guitars had that sort of bass rollout knob, which I really liked. Revstars, I don't think I played one. But
no,
if you've heard Chris Buck play one, you don't need to ask us.
Yes, indeed. I went to the Revstar launch.
Did you?
I was invited to it, and it was at Abbey Road, and I'd never been. I'm like, yeah, come on.
Nice.
So I went down. It was brilliant. But the yes, so what was the other one?
Revstar or Reverend.
So the Reverend, apart from Greg Koch's Reverend, when we were in Minneapolis at what used to be the guitar store, there's now not that, Riff City, they were a Reverend dealer, and I played a few of them. They felt fantastic. But the last time we were at NAMM, Reeves Gabriel was there and showed me his signature Reverend, and it is wicked, massive star looking thing. It's great. And I saw him play it with The Cure at the end of their last tour, and really wonderful sounding guitar, like really got a real character to it. Really very, very cool.
Yeah, nice. So you're looking at one of those options, I take it, James. Good luck with whichever way you go. This is not nearly enough for the value I've received. He says, I do buy merch too. I just wanted to share my thanks for all you've done and do without even knowing it, says Rob Schlank.
Oh, mate, thank you.
Rob,
that's very kind, buddy.
Don't feel obliged, mate. We're just glad to have you here with us. But thank you so much for your generosity. We really appreciate it. And it is true to say that we exist and on sales from That Pedal Show store. That's how we're here.
Yeah.
If everything else dried up, we'd be kind of fine. If that dried up, lights out.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
That's kind of you. Rhino Jam. Hello, Rhino Jam. If the right hand is the first gain stage...
Yes, very good.
Says Tim Lurch. Or maybe Dan. Is the pick the 1.5th? I changed picks to a Flex 75 recently and it changed my playing quite a bit. Like string gauge, have you ever found you change style based on pick?
Yes, definitely. So
big time.
So I remember trying a really thin pick. I don't think I've got any here. Just to keep one around for emergencies. Oh, this is pretty thin. So I use a 2mm pointy jobby. It's very comfortable, and I find it, it's great. And I can pick light, but then it's easy to dig in and be really articulate. But with the strumming thing, hearing the clack of a thin pick on the strings, I can't get that sound from. It's too hard.
Yeah, I don't want that on a electric guitar. But
No,
on an
on
acoustic
acoustic guitar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
My old guitar teacher, I still get lessons from time to time. Mark Johns, astonishing player, and he used to do a lot of session work on acoustic. Like he's on doing acoustic for like everyone, and he would have 3 picks in his hand as he's playing and swap them around depending on what's needed.
Oh wow!
Yeah, amazing.
Next level, that is.
Yeah.
Have we lost? Yeah, we have lost a bit of level, haven't we? Maybe. Thickness is one thing, and then of course the shape of the tip is the other. There's that thing where I've noticed Dan's technique evolving just recently. He doesn't think I pay attention, but I do.
I know you miss nothing. I'm very, very aware of this.
So if you do that technique, most of us ham-fisted blues players that we are tend to go between. Oh look, I've got an Owen Barry signature.
Oh, nice!
Signature pick. Hello, Owen. No doubt you'll be in. Listen to that. For anyone who wants to know why I sold blue, this is why I sold blue. I needed to raise some guitar shekels for this.
What an instrument.
It is a 1965 ES345 for those of you who haven't seen it yet. So most of us play sort of flat on, don't we? Mm-hmm. So the pick is relatively flat onto the string. Then if we move on from that, you might use the edge of the pick to get a bit more rake, which you wouldn't on this pick because it doesn't have much of an edge on it and it's quite a soft material. But that's what I like. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it.
You're hearing the edge of the...
So rather than be at, what is that? That's flat to the strings. We're more like 45 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And that's quite a nice sound. Now, if you're into precision picking, if you're into alternate picking, most of us, I say most of us, people who don't realise how to do it properly, like me, spend ages trying to go this mad up and down thing, and you think, how can you ever get any speed out of that? There's no way. There's just no way. Like hammering wrist. So you do this sort of in and out, and if you practice it with a bit of economy picking and all the rest of it, you can build up much more speed. The point is, you can't do it without a pointed pick.
Yeah.
The point that there needs to be a slight point on the pick, which is why a lot of those precision players use pointed picks.
Yes, it's very precise.
It's like that. And I've noticed Dan's been doing a bit of it recently.
Well,
you've been working on that.
I have been working on it because I was so inspired when we had Andy Wood over, and I was just in awe. His facility is just so crazy, and I spent half an hour with him, and he's just showing me how to do it, and it was amazing. So every morning, it's great.
But I avoid all these techniques because those are the ones that lose you the gigs, in my opinion. Oh, that's much better.
2mm, so it's nice, isn't it?
That's why Bonamassa uses the little
Jazz 3s.
Yeah, the bigger Jazz 3 because it's got the point on it and it enables you to really get in there. But yeah, so I don't use the Owen Barry pick, by the way. He just gave that to me. I use the Dunlop Primetone 1.4s, which I love. maybe they're 1.5s. I don't know.
I think 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a completely different sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a much harder attack on the note, which I much prefer.
Mm.
And there's no flex in it at all.
Yeah. But picks are a big deal. Someone had asked us to do a show on picks, and we couldn't bring ourselves to do it. But
Because it's so personal.
it's so personal.
You know,
It does make a big difference.
What does
we
this
could do
pick sound like?
We could do. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like,
It's
well,
like,
if
no,
Andy
no.
Timmins plays it, it sounds completely different. Than
Yeah, it
if,
sounds amazing.
yeah, if I play it. So anyway, yes, sorry. I said we were going to speed up, and we failed. And that Rhino Jam, just to finish the point, that change in style, my ham-fisted explanation of that different plectrum technique for playing a bit quicker requires a different kind of pick. So yes, Matt Schofield will quite often on a regular shape pick will turn around and use the flat side
Yeah.
for a different
Yeah.
approach, and so yeah, it's critically important.
And Danish Pete does the same thing.
Does he?
Yeah, he flips it over and uses that, and then uses that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My favourite tones in videos recently are where I don't use a pick at all.
Yeah.
Just fingers.
Yeah.
Because then I can't
That's so funny
I
because
can't do
I've-
anything tricky.
I've
then.
started doing the same thing
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, then you hear you and you hear the guitar. Anyway,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
it's
blah.
lovely. Trevor Hart says, so last week Dan was wearing a cool hat and I went to the store and bought one. This week I'm going to have to shave my head. I had to check up this week on my incision. It's healing very well, but got it shaved so that they could see everything there. But it's all lovely.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't have a second head growing out the side of my head, so yeah, it's good.
Just looks like a dirty mark. You'll have people come up to you in the street going, "Come on."
Come here. So old lady's going, come here.
You poor lad. David Galsinski, and I apologise if I've said that wrong, David. He says, hello, D&M. Could you talk a bit, Dan, why you let go of your HC30 with reverb and bought one without reverb? Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure. So I had been pestering Phil Jamison at Matchless for a C30 with reverb forever. When I was playing in Tin Spirits with Dave Gregory, who I caught up with last week, beautiful guy. We're going to get him on the show soon doing the Firebird show. But he had an old 90s Matchless C30 head and 1x12 cab. And whenever I went to rehearsal, I was, I'd set up my rig and it'd sound fantastic. Then it'd turn up with a Matchless and I'd just be like crestfallen. But I love amp reverb. And so I'd said to Phil, look, can you build this for me with reverb? And I pestered him for ages, and finally he did it. And it sounded great. But again, Dave bought his old Matchless in, and I just couldn't get that Matchless sound with the reverb in it. Now, one of the reasons is the Matchless circuit, there is so much signal and gain going on in that preamp. I only ever use the EF86 side. And like the signal coming out of the effects end is outrageous. Now, trying to get that hooked up to a reverb tank is challenging. But not only that, if you ever wanted to do anything with the other channel, the channels are out of phase. And what I used to do is every now and then I'd blend the two channels together. But you couldn't, there's no facilities to do that. It was a single input and then you could switch channels internally. Ultimately though, it was about the core sound of the amp. Now Phil has since changed it and I believe it's great. But there's something with that amplifier, I don't need amp reverb. That's not what that amp's about. That's not what my AC30 is about. You turn that thing up, you don't need reverb.
Yeah. I prefer the reverb ones because for me it's too much.
Right.
So the reverb ones tend to just take away a bit of that.
Sure.
But not least because there's reverb, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about what you like because I think the power delivery is different.
It is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really tricky thing to get right, but there's something about that pure thing straight through that that really works for me. And then sticking like stereo with the CXM into the front of it, even with a bit of dirt on it, and it still sounds wonderful. One of the things about the C30, you can have a bit of gain in the front end and still put effects into it, and you still hear everything. I don't fully understand it. It's a weird thing. It sounds magic. And that's what the first thing I noticed about Dave's amp. He would give it a bit of love, but he had delays and choruses and stuff going, and it just always sounded magic. Yeah. It's kind of a little bit like, remember the Laney that we had here? And that thing was gainy as you like, but it's still, the Paul's old one.
Oh, it's still here.
There it is. But you'd still put it's been moved. You can still put things in the front of it.
Yeah.
And it still sounds great. Whereas like with tweed amps and stuff, I struggle. But anyway, that's the reason.
Yeah. Hang on, there was a question about that here somewhere. Gordon Rankin says, reverb really messes with the circuit. The summation requires a shared plate circuit, which is really tough to do.
Yeah.
Interesting you mentioned the plate circuit, because I think that's what I can hear in the or at least the result of that in the softness, or I don't want to say sag because we tend to equate that more with transformers, but in any case, there definitely has a different attack. So maybe the way that power is getting distributed around or used or whatever.
Yeah.
Bit like someone mentioned the Truth About Vintage Amps podcast, Skip Simmons, who's a bit cynical about the new, or he's not over happy about the new Gibson amps apparently.
Oh, really?
They had Bill Crinard from Two Rock on once, and they had a whole discussion about whether you could hear the difference with the dual light, the power light connected or not. And Bill's like, this is just, bullshit basically. How could it make any difference? But he went home and he was like, I wonder, and he tried it. He's like, yeah, could definitely hear a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it has to do with, because because I had it in my old Pro Reverb, and the bulb blew, and I played it like that without the bulb for ages, and I finally got the bulb and I put it back in, and I'm like, that's weird, but it's got to do with the
isn't it the voltage on the transformer or something?
Well, it's the voltage that's being fed to the preamp valves and the phase inverter,
right?
And so how you got those twisted DC leads and they go Well, it's the same tap off that,
right?
So it's like taking a valve out of the circuit, and it's less for the transformer to do. So,
Anyway, there we are. No question, says Matt McGrath. Just show my appreciation. Matt, thank you. That's really kind of you, buddy. We really appreciate that. Hope is well. All is well with the TPS family. Indeed it is.
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
Lovely.
Steve Mass. Hello, Steve.
G'day, mate.
He says, I'm out of interesting or silly questions. So I'll just show support with a few dollars and ask you to take a question from the chat. That's somebody did that last week. Very kind. What a kind thing, and thank you, Steve. So we'll do that right now. Let's see if I can find a question here rather than just a comment. I'm going to literally... Right, the first question I've come to is from Beans. Hello, Beans.
Beans.
I had Beans yesterday.
Did you?
Catherine and I always say if we're on MasterChef, if we ever got to MasterChef, I'm going to serve up bean by toast.
What? So beans on the side of toast?
No, bean by toast.
Okay.
Because it's like a micro tasting restaurant. Because I think beans on toast, hard to go wrong with beans on toast. It's a meal that never. I don't know. Is beans on toast a thing in the US and
Boston
Australia
beans.
and
Boston beans
all over the world?
Yeah, you just throw soy sauce and cheese and bacon, throw it in with your beans, and it's just amazing.
Stop all that. Heinz baked beans out of a can in a saucepan. Heated gently, never boiled. Don't boil your beans, people. Nice bit of toast, preferably something middle class like sourdough. No seeds though. I don't want any seeds in my bread. It's too much. Catherine likes seeds in her bread. I'm like, no, just bread, no seeds. Heffing unhealthy amount of butter.
Okay.
And give me butter. Give me salted butter that a French person has made. I don't want any of your flipping manufactured spreads. Beans. Maybe a small grating of cheese.
Okay.
But MasterChef, you see, I think you could cut all the edges off the bread till it was that big. Toast it with
Well, like one of those
blowtorch.
Yeah, but just and like from this thing.
Yeah.
And singe all the hair off your hand.
Bean.
And
then I would do a cheese soil and a tomato espuma.
You've missed your calling.
Yeah, I would cut one leaf off the edge of a rocket leaf and I'd put that on there as the green thing.
Great.
And I'd stick that under Grace Dent's nose and say, have at it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Anyway, Beans does have a question. He says, is the Vox AC15 a good amp?
Amazing. It's an amazing amplifier.
Yes. We probably need a bit more detail in the question though, Beans, because we'd need a bit more context. A good amp for what is the real question. As an all-rounder, you might find, if you live in an apartment and you can't play loud, you might find it a bit loud for home use. But then there is this cabinet is a decent size, so you get good bass response. It sounds full and fat. Whereas if you go to like a 4 or 5 watt amp, it's a great sound, but sometimes the boxes are quite small, so it's not massively satisfying to play on its own. Great in a mix, perhaps. If you're out gigging, AC15, most modern bands, it's loud enough. And do you like the Vox sound?
Yeah.
We like our reissue AC15 a lot.
Yeah.
So earlier,
and the reverb in it is glorious.
And the tremolo, it's a good sounding thing. Old Vox AC15s, and they changed. You might want to do some research on the models over the years, but they used to only have a volume knob. So in order to get it overdrive, you'd have to turn it up a lot. The more modern ones, the Chinese made, I think they're called CC or C Custom, something like that, have a channel volume and a master volume. So you can pump the channel up a bit, have the master volume low and get some overdrive going at lower volumes. And we really like ours.
Yeah.
We really like it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to like the Vox sound because it does sound very Voxy.
Yeah.
And some people love that and some people love it less. Is it a good amp? Yes, absolutely. And they are pretty well priced as well.
Yeah.
So,
beautiful.
Good luck, Beans. What would you serve on MasterChef?
Last time, so 2 years ago now, we were 18 months ago, I took the family to Rome for a holiday, and we stayed at that place where all the restaurants are around it. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway.
Where?
In Rome, just on the outskirts of Rome.
Oh, okay, no, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
The Trevi Fountain?
No.
No. The Colosseum?
No, we didn't stay at the Colosseum.
No. The Eiffel Tower?
We did. And the food was so good, and at the end of the evening, I'd go to the chef and just, because there'd be something on the dish, and I'd say, how did you do that? And they were so generous and saying, yeah, come along, I'll show you. And this one guy showed me how he did spag bowl, and it blew my mind. And so I got addicted to doing spag bowl. I got to a point where we'd have a barbecue and I'd have a pasta course at the barbecue. So I'd do my faux Romano spag bowl.
Yeah. Carrots?
Celery.
Yeah, good. That's all right. As long as we've got that far.
Yeah.
Have you had a more traditional ragu, like a thinner, with like chunks of beef rather than a mince?
No.
A thinner ragu. Oh man, it's so good.
Okay.
A bit more rustic.
Yeah.
So good. Like a bolognese, but not as far as a bolognese.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe Monday Meat Feast could turn into Pasta Mondays. We're not doing it tonight. Dan's got a bit of work on this week. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's going to be fun.
Apparently not an American thing, says Circus Brains. And the Juggernaut says no beans on toast in the US. That's really interesting. Because Heinz has got to be an American company, hasn't it?
Is it? I don't think so.
Must be. It's too big and famous to be a British company, isn't it?
I don't know. Beans means Heinz? I thought it was... I don't know.
The J. Heinz Company is an American food processing brand, formerly headquartered at 1 PPG Place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Henry J. Heinz.
Franks and Beans.
So there you go.
There you go.
Now, unfortunately, they are the Kraft Heinz Company.
Oh.
Sorry, I say that. one of my mother-in-law's neighbours used to work for Kraft, I think, and we ragged on her all the time for buying our chocolate. Didn't Kraft buy Cadbury's?
I think so. But isn't Kraft now owned? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, probably got it all wrong there. Yeah, January 2010. Anyway.
See, it's interesting that because, I mean, I don't know the American thing, but like in Australia, when who was my girlfriend at the time is now my wife, when she came out here and we'd go out for breakfast and she would order sausages. And I why would you order sausages? They're rubbish. She's like, no, sausages are amazing. And then she'd have Australian sausages. She'd go, you're right, these are rubbish. Because we have steak and bacon and meat. Sausage is like a byproduct.
Right.
But it wasn't until I got to the UK. I mean, now they have amazing sausages in Australia. But back then, it wasn't really a thing.
Wasn't a thing.
It was a cheap barbecue add-on.
Just run the kangaroo over, throw it on the fire and have at it.
Yeah. Just... But I got to the UK, and one of Teen's friends, a guy called Tudgy, and he had a farm that made Tudgy sausages.
Right.
And they're famous sausages. And we went and stayed at his place, and they're the most... I'd never had anything like it. And to this day, I'd never had a sausage like it. And he sells to like Gordon Ramsay and these things. Yeah. But the sausages in the UK were like high art.
Yeah,
compared to anything else.
I started buying mine from the local butcher.
Right.
And they make... I had a breakfast with my dad somewhere. Hello, Dad, again. And I was like, this is the best sausage I've ever had.
Yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah. I think yeah.
Maybe we could have pasta and sausage Mondays.
But I think depending on where you live globally, you know, even though it has sausages in Australia, it's not the same. Even though they've got beans in the US, it's not the same.
Beans.
Well, it's not the... We don't... Perhaps they wouldn't treat them the way that we would treat them as, you know...
What's wrong with them?
They're great. What are you saying?
Do you eat beans on toast in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a staple student food.
Right.
Add a bit of Kraft single into it. And if you're really posh, you can put some bacon in it. But Kraft single and a bit of soy sauce in it.
What's Kraft single?
Like, you know those processed cheese
things? God.
But the thing is, as a student, you can live off that. You don't smell great, but you can live off it.
I could start a whole rant about the fact that student food doesn't have to be crap. You can eat really well for not much money.
You absolutely can.
You don't have to eat crap.
But you have to be invested in the idea that you don't want to eat crap. You have to
learn to cook a bit.
And learn to cook.
Yeah.
You know.
God help us. Carl Longbottom is on. Hello,
G'day,
Carl.
mate.
I bet Carl likes beans on toast.
Yes, I'm sure he does.
Evening, gents, says Carl. Will you or any viewers be attending the Birmingham Guitar Show on the 2nd and 3rd of March? Fantastic show on Friday. Keep up the great work. Oh, God, I've got a feeling we might be playing. I did have a conversation with Jason at the end of last year, and I said, yeah, of course we'll do it. I better phone him.
Okay, be good to know.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Oops.
Do that thing that we normally do. Is that or
well, I said it'd be nice to take the band.
Yeah, I'll see that then. I can go.
Thanks for reminding us, Carl. I need to get on to Jason. Jason, if you're watching this, we need to talk. I said, yeah, of course we'll do it. Yeah, it'd be awesome. And then, I don't know what happened next. We might do Reeling in the Years. But only if Dan plays all the lead guitar bits. I was going to say something bitchy about the guitar tone, but I won't.
No need.
No need. It's already done. Rhys Jones. Anyway, 2nd and 3rd of March, Birmingham Guitar Show. Please go to it. Please, if you're in the UK and you fancy a nice time out, it's always good, the Birmingham Guitar Show. And it might be that we're there if I haven't got my wires crossed. Cool. Rhys Jones. Hello, Rhys. Dudes, which song would you play bass and drums on?
are something that I wouldn't want anyone to hear. I'm not a good bass player. I'm a terrible drummer.
You're a pretty good bass player.
I flap along like a plastic bag on a barbed wire fence in the breeze.
I think you're quite a good bass player.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, mate. Oh, look who it is.
Who's on?
Paul Chronicle. Yeah, but I can't as a drummer.
Imagine you could.
Okay, there we go. That's a better question. Imagine I could. What is hip?
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah.
By Tower of Power,
Tower
for
of
those
Power.
of you who don't know. Mine would be Other Side of the Game on the live Erykah Badu record. from the 90s.
Nice.
I've been listening to that. I used to listen to it a lot, and I've been listening to it a lot recently. Erykah Badu live. It's one of the best live records ever. The sound is off the scale. She is off the scale. And the bass player and the drummer are just perfect.
What does she play?
Sings.
So she doesn't play an instrument. She just
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't think so. And there's a track 2. It's called Other Side of the Game, and it's just a masterclass in how to do it.
Amazing. David Welsh says, "Good morning from Alaska." Hi, David. I've started watching the new. Is it True Detective?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ice Road Truckers.
No. And it's apparently that it goes into that time of year where there is no daytime for like 3 months. Permanite.
I made that up.
That's very good. That's very good though.
That's what we used to have in the 80s, wasn't it? Permanite.
David, but is that? Do you get that where you are? That's because I couldn't do it.
You could. You just wouldn't want to.
Okay, I wouldn't want to do it. Most strenuously would not want. You reckon?
Yeah. That's the I mean, and it's not quite the same in Denmark, but you take the hygge approach, don't you?
Oh
And
yeah.
you make your life change for that. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, there are some fairly nasty stats on places that have long periods of darkness.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like my soul.
Anyway, there's some Ice Road Truckers coming your way soon. One of them might nearly fall through the... Oh, no, it's fine.
He made it. Is he going to get that? Oh, no, he's done it again.
Yeah. Mike2203, hi, Mike. He says, hi, D&M, I just treated myself to a QMX10
Oh, bless you, mate.
for my string of pedals. What patch lead kit would you recommend? And also, I need to get a bigger board. Any suggestions?
Okay, so...
I'm going to say Alder and Ash pedal boards in the UK.
Beautiful.
Rich makes really, really nice stuff.
He really does.
Really beautifully made.
Yeah.
Solid wood pedal boards. They're not the cheapest available. Something that I'm not suggesting that you're necessarily going for cheap, but they are premium, handmade things, and they have a price tag to match. Failing that, pedal train just completely dependable and come in a variety of shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
The new Fender ones are really cool. I don't know what sizes they come in.
Right.
Well, I say new, they're probably over a year old now, but there was one kicking around here somewhere.
Yeah, there's a bunch. The Diodario.
Yeah, Expand.
The Expand, they're great.
Yeah, they are really good, actually.
Yeah, they're really good.
Where's the Fender one?
Yeah.
Well, you could make one out of bits of wood. Check that
You
out.
did a really lovely job on that.
Just bits of wood.
Yeah.
Bits of softwood. From, yeah. Where the Fender one's gone?
Yeah. No, but they're as far as patch leads are concerned. So I'm doing a build for my new board that we're going to be doing these gigs with, and so I'm going to be filming it and showing. Not a lot has changed, but because I'm so set now on things that I'm using, I'm going to be doing some soldered stuff and using square plugs, and I really like them. But we've been using the Evidence Audio screw and solderless stuff for years and years, and they're great. If you can be bothered with soldering, I still like I still use monorail cable for both. I really like the monorail cable stuff, but the there's a bunch of really good patch cable options out there. But yeah, if you want to do this, the solder thing, square plugs, or the screw and solder stuff for the evidence audio screw and solderless, if you want to go that way.
Yeah, if you want to go that way, yeah. I must admit, because if we're doing a board that's going to stay together and be a board for a long time, I'm really happy with the SIS, the solderless, the screw and solderless, because if you make it once and you make it well and it stays in, it's great. I find, because I'm not brilliant at making it, and sometimes I'll get an earth go wrong.
Sure.
And by the time I've changed my pedal board 58 times, the jack's been in and out 58 times, the joint has been stressed 58 times, whereas soldered might be a little bit better for that. But then if I'm soldering, all bets are off, really.
Sure.
But that's the
thing, right?
I have started soldering my own cables.
Yeah.
So, yeah, evidence audio SIS, or as Dan says, square plugs. They do start to get quite expensive quite quickly. I bought a bunch of spare plug stuff, and it's like, oh God. It's like £100 before you've...
Oh, yeah.
Once you've got a bit of cable.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's just not cheap.
But the other thing is, if you make them sensibly, they will literally last a lifetime. So it's a bit of cash, but they will last forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, good luck, Mike. And good luck with the QMX10. Mike Turner. Gentlemen, always love the show, says Mike Turner. Thanks for the general chit-chat, philosophy and mental health talk. I do miss the Geordie visitors, though. Actually, yeah, we haven't had a visitor for a while, have we?
No.
Maybe there'll be one at some point.
There might be a phone ringing.
Yeah, there'll be one at some point. Thank you, Mike. KJ Photo. Hello, KJ Photo. I'm starting to think everyone's first overdrive should be a blues driver, then go from there. Cheers from the Big Apple. Yeah.
Amazing.
Couldn't really argue. Mine was a yellow Boss overdrive of some description.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't remember what it was. I had one that had 2 knobs, one that had 3 knobs, and one that had 4 knobs.
So the 2 knob one would have been the OD1.
Yeah.
And then take your pick after that. Mine was the Ibanez, the orange Ibanez, which I got.
Oh, the distortion.
The distortion. Which I got for my 10th birthday with an SG copy.
So Scott Henderson painted his SD9 orange. His wife painted it orange.
That's brilliant. Dude, check this out. JD says, hi, Dan. I was the gaffer on True Detective Series 4. We shot it in Iceland over the winter. Sun up at 10:30, sundown at 3 p.m. in December.
Wow.
Nasty. Mate, that is amazing.
How cool.
How cool. How serendipitous that I mentioned that show and it's like, oh, it was there.
Cheers to the Big Apple, KJ Photo. Cheers to the Big Apple.
Yes, mate.
Would be nice to go there again one day. I am Stoic Dan says, for his grimacing at the end of the episode, tell me Mick didn't take a turn with all the fuzzes on. Love to you both. No, I didn't.
The dirty protest.
It was somewhat uncontrollable, wasn't it? Although it didn't. I thought it was just going to collapse, but there was still guitar sound at the end.
Yeah, I think it is so interesting because a lot of those things, because the input and output impedances are so rubbish that, like, as soon as you put 1 on's bad enough with the volume controller turned off, but 2 on it's just a mess. But you were still a note by the time we got through. Yeah. It was completely square wave. It was like a synth.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't expect that.
No. Alex is on Square Wave Symphonies. Hi, Alex.
G'day, mate.
He says, hey, Legends, just wanted to say thank you so much for the hammer tone delay. Oh, you won one of our 12 Days of Effectsmas giveaways.
Was that the Fender Hammertone series?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm sort of sorry we gave it away, but anyway, we gave it away. Hope you're enjoying it, Alex. He said, also, I love Friday's Fuzz episode and the pedalboard build. Much love. And to you, buddy. Angus McLean. Hi, Angus.
G'day,
he says,
Angus.
I'm pretty sure there would be a problem due to the smaller gauge wire, but could I use a simple 1/4 inch patch bay for amps and cabinets? If a problem, what about doing it DIY with thicker speaker wire?
So you're after a patch bay so that you can switch easily between heads and cabs. So, right, if you had a patch bay that was, I mean, you could absolutely do it with speaker wire. You can do it with just like standard. Take an old IC cable and chop it up and use that copper. I would suggest against using a standard patch bay. Reason being, one of the inputs of the patch bay is going to be earthed to the case, which will be generally the main input. That's going to be the case will be connected to the ground, so you wouldn't want that for your speaker cable. If it was, because it's quite a lot of current in that. Now there's no resistance in the patch bay, so there shouldn't be any heat generated, but I don't, something about it I don't like the idea of. I would build one with speaker cable between the ins and outs. But even then, even when you get that going, you still need to turn the amp off before you switch things around.
Yeah.
And in essence, it might just be easier to go from amp to amp, because it's something that there's too many possibilities to be plugged into the wrong thing. Turn the amp up, hit the guitar hard, transformer's got no load on it, boom. I've done it before. I would be uncomfortable with it.
There you go. There you go. Paul Matulovic. Hello, Paul. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, hey, buddy.
He says, as an emissary of the Facebook, of a Facebook Earthquaker Devices fan group, might I recommend the Aurelius to get some Earthquaker on the show? It's a C1 platform with flangey bits for Dan and rotary for Mick. Truly a stomp box of leg ends.
Oh,
that sounds
good.
Great.
Yeah.
Is it new?
I don't know.
And he says also on EQD, Mick would enjoy the Zor, seeing how it's the unholy love child of a Fender amp and a fuzz face. EQD Zor, have we played that? I always like, every time I play an Earthquake pedal, I like it.
Yeah,
every time.
They're great.
Funnily enough, I got the old Dispatchmaster SR out the other day.
Right.
I'm going to go through a few delay pedals and a few reverbs. I think that's too complex for what I need, but I thought, oh yeah, great, I'll have a quick listen to that. I like everything they make.
Yeah.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. It is interesting when you find those brands that have a sound that's just works. Yeah.
Thorpe's one for me.
Yeah.
Jam. Free the Tone is one. Jam is one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are other brands which I won't mention, which it doesn't quite go over with me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why. And of course, for you, that might be completely opposite. So I'm not suggesting that it's the same for all of us, because it isn't. Anyway, thank you, Paul. Thanks for the questions. And yes, it's a reminder to get more Earthquaker on the show. Scent of a Wheelchair Pillow says, did you see the Tone Talk with the product manager from D'Addario? Or D'Addario? He said, strings never stretch. All the break-in happens at the nut, saddle, peg, winding, but strings always stay the same length.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of settling to happen at this end, where I've had strings, where they wind the ball end joint on. I've had strings that won't do up and suddenly bang, and that just snaps off. So, I could understand that the steel, this metal doesn't stretch, but there's, remember when you're pulling up and even the neck flexes and, there's a lot to sort out before it starts in place. So yeah, it makes sense.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like the sun comes up. We say, I'm going to stretch my strings in. It's like, no, you're going to let the strings settle around the tuning peg and over the nut.
There you
and
go.
all of that.
Yeah.
And we accept these partial truths as fact, and we're happy to accept them as fact, even though they are life lies, like the sun comes up. It doesn't.
Yeah.
We
Nor does it go down.
We rotate to face it.
Indeed.
But it's too much hassle, isn't it, to say, oh, I see we've rotated to face the sun again.
Yes. And the tide comes in and the tide goes out. Yeah, that's what happens.
I'm up for some interesting opinions on that.
So you've got the moon,
Yeah.
the gravitational force of the moon, and,
Yeah.
and it bulges out.
Right.
Yeah. And it stays like that, and we rotate within the bulge. The
Right.
Earth rotates within the bulge. The water stays in that position with the gravitational effects of the moon. And as you imagine that like an egg type thing, and then we rotate within that. And that's why you get the effect of tide coming in and tide going out.
But the water does come in and go out again.
Yeah, but the reason it appears to go in and go out is that with the Earth is rotating,
Right.
but the water in space in relation to the moon stays where it is, and the Earth rotates within the water. It's very interesting.
I'm going to have to read. I'm going to have to apply some logic to that and read about that
Okay,
to understand if it's the same principle.
sure.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you watch the plane, it goes. Yes. Anyway, blah blah blah.
Robert Law said the tide goes up and down.
Oh, that's
there you go.
that is a better
There you go.
explanation. That's a better explanation. Now I'm connecting some logic points here.
Right.
I can see that. David Rustad has an interesting problem,
Okay.
but instead we're going to talk about the pedal issue. Sorry, David. He says, I've got two non-stereo fancy reverbs.
Okay.
Right. Then they get split into stereo by a Strymon El Capistan version 2.
So you're going out of the L cap, left and right into each reverb pedal, yes?
One still sounds great, and the other one loses something by going stereo. Why? I've tried both buffered out and not.
Okay, so quick question. Have you tried, you swap the pedals around either way. So the question is
the El Cap true stereo in and out? Is that the question?
no, because you can go mono into the L cap and stereo left and right out of it,
Oh, I see.
right? And you've got the reverb pedal on the left and right hand side. Do you get the same? Is the problem on the output, as in it doesn't matter what reverb you have on a specific output, it always sounds wrong? Or is the pedal, it doesn't matter what output the pedal is on, it doesn't sound correct? So that's the question I need to know. The
Leylenberg and Randall Reichenbach are saying it's a phase issue.
So it absolutely could be a phase issue, because if the reverbs are out of phase, so you've got reverbs in there in line, when you put one on and then you put the other one on, it doesn't matter if they change the phase, because it's all relative to what's going on to the amps at the other end. If you have two amps on and then you have this reverb comes on, that reverb comes on, but one reverb is out of phase, it's a reverse polarity to the other one, then the signals are going to be cancelling each other out. And what's interesting is it would be the direct signal that cancels each other out, not the reverb sound.
Yes. So step one, check the phase on the reverbs, check that they are actually in phase with one another.
Yeah.
The other issue could be if they're digital reverbs, they could have different latencies, and therefore you are immediately out of phase.
If one might have an analog drive-through and the other one might be completely digital.
Step one, check the phase. Step two, look, step one, step two, step three. Step one, check the absolute phase.
Yep.
So if you can, on one side you need something that will flip the phase and flip it either way and see if the sound comes back fuller or not. Step two, exactly what he just said. If one of those pedals has got an analog drive-through and the other one hasn't, you're out of phase.
Yeah, you're out of alignment. Yeah.
And you could test that by making them 100% wet. And if they come back into phase 100% wet, which they probably will because the digital part of it will be slightly delayed anyway, but the analog dry-through bit in one of the pedals won't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could be that.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Good luck, mate.
Yeah. So, yeah, we think the most likely culprit is some sort of phase thing. The other thing to check, and I don't know the El Capistan well enough, I'm going to assume that what comes out of left and right on an El Cap is equal. And there's nothing in any of those push and press modes because the El Cap has a bunch of secondary functions that alters in any way what comes out of the outputs. Like some pedals have configurable outputs in stereo, so you can do all kinds of things like make them 100% wet, or you could change the level, or you could do all kinds of things. So just check the secondary functions of the El Cap, that it doesn't affect the way in which those stereo outputs happen.
Yep, very good.
And indeed, the configuration of inputs and outputs in general. Some pedals have different things when you power them up on configuration and in and out, whether it's line level, instrument level, whether it's true stereo or whether it's dual mono. And I don't know that about the El Cap, so do just check all the secondary functions and all the power-up functions just in case. If you've still got a problem, we'll come back to it next week. Fender 1960 CS. Hope you're both well today. What are you looking forward to most from NAMM this week, if anything at all?
The Gibson amps, I'm looking forward to that. Keeley are announcing something tomorrow, I believe.
I think we know what that is. It's out there in a box, isn't it?
We do know what that is, and that's a cool thing. I don't know. Because we're not there, I don't think too much about it because I just get sad. Yeah. What are you looking forward to at NAMM? What is it at NAMM that you think would be worthwhile for us having a look at? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah. It used to be that in the olden days, everything came out at NAMM. So all the companies brought their new stuff out at NAMM because that's where the dealers would show up and buy their stock, you know, for the foreseeable. So you would release your product at NAMM because no one would have seen it before. With the advent of the internet, NAMM has sort of become a damper squib for new product release because companies realise they can release through the year and not have all that craziness of having to get ready for NAMM.
Yeah.
So it's not the new product launch that it used to be. There is a brilliant new product coming from J-Rocket, which you'll be able to see on the show on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool, and we've already seen that. I don't know what Boss have got lined up. Boss have just been on fire this last year or two.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Fender had an idea for a pedal board switcher from someone. Don't know who that was. Don't know where that idea came from. Actually, to be fair, it's more inspired by Line 6, isn't it, I would say, because it's got digital effects and stuff built in.
Does it?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I think it's like an RJM thing.
I know, I thought it had all like reverbs and delays and everything built in.
I don't think so.
You sure?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I thought it did. Let's have a look.
Chris Smith says NAMM, really poor quality demo vids shot on an iPhone with tons of background noise. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons we don't go anymore.
There is no point trying to shoot anything decent at NAMM. So what we ended up doing was just shooting 1 minute vids on our Instagram, just getting a quick overview, and one of us would make a little bit of noise, but trying to get a really clear idea of what actually anything sounds like plugged in. It's a fool's errand, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still really fun. It's still really fun.
Oh, maybe you're right. I thought it had built-in effects.
No, the Boss one does.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Todd Roy says, I would love to have one of the 5-watt Falcon amps. has a tube-driven reverb and sounds great. Wow. Yeah,
Nice.
very good.
From my for my own personal journey, I want a company to just come out with. I want a bunch of variants on the room reverb sound.
Okay.
So no, just a room reverb and maybe a hall reverb. No, nothing more than that.
Right.
With one button, maybe 2 buttons for a preset, but nothing else. So the Evermore is almost it
Okay.
by UA. So I want that. I also want someone to invent a tuner that works on a small pedal board.
Okay.
Because at the moment, all tuners are pedal format, right?
Right.
So this was my previous favourite pedal board tuner because it doesn't need a switch because it ran off my G3 or G2. I'm not using G3 or G2 on my current pedal board, so no switcher. That's out the window. This is a good tuner. Too big. That thing you've got, the little
Turbo sound.
side jacks.
Turbo tuner.
Side jacks. No good.
Okay.
What else? The D'Addario one, the thin long one, is getting there. Again,
Okay.
side jacks. No point putting side jacks on a thin pedal. It just makes it a fat pedal. Before anyone says anything about the Harmonious Monk, that was just a pill we had to swallow.
Yes.
It sounds so good, I am willing to put up with side jacks. That's the only pedal I'm willing to put up with side jacks for. So yeah,
Peterson makes
please.
a mini one now with top jacks.
Okay, there you go. It's already been done. Right, please.
Thank you, Mike.
Let me see. How many is it? Let me see.
Peterson mini with top jacks.
Oh, come on. And then we'll find out it's got a flipping always on buffer or something, won't it? Oh yeah, that is looking more like it. Strober Stomp Mini, and it's cheap too. Well, it's not horrifically expensive.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there it is. It works. So, yep.
There you go.
That looks really good.
Done.
That looks really good. I still think it could be a third narrower.
Okay. I don't know, man. I think
Depending on what's underneath that switch.
I think that the issue is just the top jacks alone mean it has to be a certain size.
Yeah, to get the jacks in next to each other.
I think it's smaller than that image there, Nick, because look at the size of the jacks there.
Yeah. See how small that is, though?
Yeah.
And I know you haven't got to get any jacks into that.
Or a foot switch.
But there must be some other technology.
How would you feel about that with jacks stacked on top of each other?
Or underneath.
But then it'd be that fat.
Well, that's fine. I've got plenty of room that way on my pedal board.
Okay.
What I don't have on my pedal board is that way and that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm just saying, there's a solution out there, Dan.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should invent it. Too late.
Too late.
Yeah. D'Addario have already invented it.
They have.
They're watching this and they've gone,
Yep.
we're in the game.
Quick!
Because it only needs to be the face, the front of it, the amount of pedal board space that it takes up has only got to be big enough for a switch and a display.
Right.
Everything else could go.
Underneath.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, maybe we just don't worry about it. And just tune on the fly like they used to do.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page never had a pedal tuner,
I
did
was
he?
watching some old Zeppelin live.
But then he was always out of tunes.
Yeah, exactly. they were sort of floating around going, yeah, I'll do. Yeah, it's funny.
So, maybe... David Tompkins, how does a switchless tuner work without unnecessarily buffering the signal? It doesn't pass any signal.
How about this?
You just send... G3's got a tuner out, so you just send to it. You don't... There's nothing goes through it.
How about... You remember my old MP1 Maestro phaser, and the whole pedal is the switch, and you step on it.
Yeah.
Just have the switch at the bottom of the tuner, so you step on the face of the tuner.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine the TU2,
Yeah.
but the switch is at the base, and you just step on the
There you
face of the
go.
tuner. It's like, well, now it's on, and now you don't need a foot switch.
There you go.
There you go.
See, I knew
Down there for dancing.
there is a solution here somewhere. There is a solution. Dustin Thiessen says, maybe you just need the new G3 with an inbuilt tuner. I have one, Dustin, but I'm running a smaller board, and I'm not using. Sorry, Dan. I'm not using a switcher.
He's going tiny.
I want small, and we talked about it in the video. Every gig I did last year, I just didn't have room for it. So, and I had to make up a different pedal board for every gig, and I'm like, oh God, I'm so bored of this. So, yeah. And I'm using far fewer pedals than I was. That's really the main point for not having the switcher. But yeah,
Be interesting to see how it goes with these gigs.
in terms of
what you need sonically.
oh yeah.
I'm sure it'd be great, and we just work our way around it. But it'd be very interesting to see how we go.
Yeah, because if you get to the point where you absolutely have to have a rotary or a chorus or something.
Because it was just you and me, right? No keyboard player with these gigs.
The minute that happens, and you need something else, and it goes from 5 pedals to 7, switcher.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be interesting because I'm going to go. What I'll do for these gigs is I'm going to go like stereo, and I can do a lot of anything textural that's required. But we'll just see how we go.
yeah. Fred R says Polytune Mini. Yeah, Polytunes are really good, but again, side jacks, I think. So at that point, it's as big as a normal pedal. Yeah, there's one there.
There it is.
Yeah.
Side jacks.
Yeah.
They're good though. There is one of these on the artist that I'm working with this week,
yeah.
Michael. Yes,
They are great. I
They're
I
great.
love those tuners.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danielle Williams says, hi Danielle, you're going to need a bigger board. I know. That's where it'll
Well,
end
no,
up.
but
I'm at least going to try.
Let's try. I reckon if we can get away with it, it'd be great. More room for my board on the stage.
As you know, Dan, I'm not into getting away with it. That's not
I understand.
It's not my thing.
But let's see how we go.
Yeah.
Let's see how we go.
Anyway, so sorry, Fender 1960 CS. That wasn't a very useful answer, was it? I'd like to see what happens. I think on a more general point, we've said it a few times in the show. I really, really want to hear the poly reverb.
Yeah.
Because that
mono.
That looks great. Well, mono's fine for me.
Sure.
Because I only do wet dry. So
Okay.
mono's totally fine. And it's a form factor. It hasn't got too many buttons on it.
Do we have one on the way? Do you know?
I haven't spoken to him.
Okay.
You know Loki. I
I'll
don't
try.
really know.
I'll email Loki.
So the poly reverb looks great. There was something else that just crossed my mind. The new thing from the people who did the Plasmatron and the that hologram. They've done like a multi-effects box. Is it them?
Oh yes.
Which isn't new. It's already
Yes.
out. But I really, really, really
hologram effects. Yeah.
really, really, really want to
It
try
looks
one
amazing.
of those.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. And the point of that little preamble was that the sounds thing is fully taken care of.
Yeah.
Everything exists
Yeah. Totally.
pretty much. The fight is in the UI now.
Yes.
How do you make people understand that these are sounds that they could use in a way that's relatively easy to access? That's the fight. And so that's what I'm interested in from NAMM. It's like, who's been clever with UI? Who has gone, oh, right, now I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I would never, ever have used the digital reverb before the CXM78 came out. Now, I appreciate that's a bit extreme because it's got sliders on it and I understand sliders, but that has taught me about digital reverb because I know what's happening now. And now I've got a bit more confidence in using other digital reverbs because I've got an in. And I think that could happen in other effects. Like, so they get simpler in terms of the straight number of features, if you like. But it makes much more sense because the benefit is much higher because you can use those features. They make more sense. They're more easily accessible rather than having to do all that.
Yeah, sure.
Which I know that I'm not alone in being completely over.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we are. Perfect Speller says BB King would tell you to tune by ear. I know. I'm happy with tuning by ear, to be honest. It's just the rest of the band not so happy when we're 40 seconds ready to start the next song and I'm going meow.
And then you see this Strat flying across the heads of the audience.
Yeah. Mick's going to be so mad when he sees the side power on the Strober Stomp Mini. No, I see now. The side power lead is only that big. It's as fat as a pretty much as fat as a square plugs flat thing. So I can deal with that because you've got to have. Here's the irony: you've got to have some distance in between the pedals, and you on a small board you've got to position the switches where you're not going to step on two things at once. So if I've got three pedals all bunched up together, I'll make sure the one in the middle is something that only has one switch in the middle, and I'll put that up there and the other two down.
Yeah.
So even though, I only ever wear pointy shoes, obviously, on stage. So that's not true. If you have a sizable foot, then they have to be at least that far apart, right? Maybe I'll make a vlog. Yes. Yes. What would Andy Timmins do? He's obviously got a big board. He's fine. He doesn't need to worry about stage space. Right. Freakadelic says tips. Have you got any tips for gear settings or playing coming to a proper Strat from HH Super Strats and 7 strings? Love from a noisy attic to Shangri-La. Oh yeah, you're gonna find that initially dispiriting, I would say.
Yeah, and then it'll become very freeing and the whole world will open.
If I think about it in the opposite direction, some people just never get it. Like, in no world am I ever going to play a 7 string. And if I ever play an HH Strat type guitar, it would only ever be on the bridge pickup for that sound, that sound that we know and love.
Yeah.
That, I don't know if it started with Eddie Van Halen, but I'm going to say Eddie Van Halen. And coming back from that is quite hard work because you're used to a guitar that's doing a very different job, and you will find the bridge pickup. You'll wonder how anyone does it for a minute because it is so thin and so wiry compared to a nice humbucker.
Yeah. But that is its strength as well as its weakness, because you put that into an overdriven amp or whatever with a lot of gain, and there's a dynamic that the single coil Strat bridge pickup has, and it just doesn't end. Whereas with the humbucker, you reach that level pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I think that's why I'm enjoying the buckers on this, because it's like there's plenty of top end and chime, but there's almost like there's a little mini compressor on there already, which is nice.
Yeah. James Bless, do we know when the TPS gigs will be confirmed? Need to jump on travel and accommodation. Hopefully this week, James. Hopefully this week.
If you go to thatpedalshow.com and jump on the mailing list, the people on the mailing list and, of course, patrons will be the first to know about the gigs. So if you're keen to come along and you want to grab a ticket, make sure you're on the mailing list because you will be the first to know.
Yeah. And then Strat-wise, I guess, so perhaps your choice of EQ and gain will be the most obvious thing that you might want to change. I think if you come at it expecting the single coil to sort of do a similar job but in a slightly different way, you might find that hard work. If you come at the single coil Strat from going, what does this guitar do that the other one doesn't, and see it as a different game and let the guitar kind of... The example I'm going to give, I played Strats forever, and then when I was about, I don't know, 17 maybe, I bought a Les Paul, a Gibson Les Paul Standard. And so I just, in our normal set, we played a lot at that point, 3 or 4 nights a week maybe, and had been doing for some time. So I played a lot and I knew my rig really well. And I thought, oh, I'll just play the Les Paul on this song. And it was the most dispiriting thing in the world because I was trying to make the Les Paul do what my Strat did.
Yeah, okay.
And it was, but, you know, be a Les Paul, be a bit thicker sounding, but it was not that. It was so wildly different and so alien to me that I just couldn't get on with it. And what I didn't have the experience or sense to realise was that I should treat the Les Paul to do what it does as a Les Paul. So think about the songs in the set and go for a completely different tonality and style of playing that would suit that guitar for those particular songs. But I didn't really have the brain to do that. So I don't know. It makes me sound properly dumb, but then I don't know. I was pretty dumb when I was 17. So yeah, try and enjoy the Strat for what it is, I would say. Maybe try out some of those 2 and 4 positions on sort of quacky clean tones. See how
I've got to say, the in-between position on this is unbelievable. Yeah. Not as crazy as yours,
no,
which is just... But the in-between position on this and then manipulating these...
And then finally, I know it's more expense, but buy a Tube Screamer, maybe a TS Mini, the little Ibanez one. It sounds great. And that will give you all the mid-range back that your humbucker doesn't have. So if, as a sort of get out of jail, it's a good solution.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, yeah, don't expect it to do what the other guitars did.
Let it be
what it is,
totally.
and try and, at least to begin with, figure out some things that it's good at, and then you can go from there. You know, lest we get into Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro, for example, makes a 3 single coil Strat sounds absolutely monstrous. It is entirely possible.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. He only ever plays on the bridge pickup as well.
Yeah,
never goes to any other pickup.
There you go.
And his
Texas Specials, but proof that it can be done.
Huge guitar tones.
Yeah. Simon Uphill, greetings from Helsinki.
Greetings indeed.
Now he has a problem with his effects loop in his Supro Blues King. It is a Supro Blues King 12, and when he puts his pedals in the loop, he gets distortion and it cuts out.
Mm-hmm.
The pedals and the amp work fine when going in the front. Mm-hmm. He's saying, is the loop level too high for pedals, or could it be a dodgy tube? Could be either of those things.
It could be either of those things. Yeah. So the way it works is you've got a preamp level coming out of the send. If that preamp level is, I mean, it will be line level, but line level is, you know, technically it's like 1 volt. It's not massive. But like I measured there, I've got 20 plus volts coming out of the matchless effects loop on the F86 channel, which is why we made the underline like 24 volts, because it had to work with a matchless, right? You've got to be able to, whatever's receiving the input signal has got to be able to work with those massive amounts of signal. A lot of analog effects just won't do it. They just won't work with that amount of signal. Some amplifiers have an instrument level effects loop. Friedman's a really good example. You plug anything into those effects loops and they sound great. And so that goes out at instrument level, it comes back, and then basically it lifts it back up so that the phase inverter and the power amp and all that sort of stuff, yada yada yada. But if it's shutting down, if the pedals are shutting down because the signal's too high, there's just, you know, you've got to find a pedal that will work with that sort of level.
Yeah, do a process of elimination. So start with one pedal, play, see if it cuts out, swap it over for the next pedal, play, see if it cuts out. You might find that one of those pedals is the culprit. If none of them singularly are the culprit, then start building it up from scratch again, and that might yield some results. Swap out the tube. Do that as a matter of course, because that's easy enough. You know, if you look at the tube chart, you'll know which one it is, assuming it is a tube-driven and recovered effects loop. That's really easy to do. Just get an equivalent tube and pull it out and push the other one in, turn the amp off, blah, blah, blah. So do that as a matter of course, because then you know that's been taken out of the equation. And then process of elimination.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Good luck.
Good luck, mate.
Yeah. Should be all right.
Yeah. Again, it depends on a number of things.
Yeah.
If you're running the gain really high on the amplifier, that's going to give you more preamp signal. See if the problem solves when you turn the preamp gain down. See if it comes back, and then you'll know.
That's the advice. That's the advice we were looking for, Dan.
That's it. Took me a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we were looking for. That's what we were looking for. Oh, that's no good from the US. I'm just trying to buy a Peterson Strobo Stomp Mini, but I guess I'll do that afterwards. Right. Good. Okay, I think that is us as far as the super chats go, and as luck would have it, it is 7 Peems.
Man, on the money.
On the Riley Stockwell says, I'd like to hear more about how to deal with amps with line level effects loops. It doesn't like staples such as Strymon. Strymon should have you should be able to switch it to line level, don't they? Most of them?
I don't know. I think some you can. I'm not sure. There's definitely some you can. So just by saying it's line level,
yes,
you know what I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, it can be line level. How hot are you running the gain? Because that will change. How, if a pedal says it's line level, what are they doing? Are they putting series resistors in there? Are they saying line level, yep, we can handle a volt? It's all arbitrary. Yeah.
It's I know we say it a lot, and it is if you want to run a gained amp, you really do need to use an effects loop if you want your effects to sound clean. It is one of the main reasons Dan and I don't run gainy amps or deal with effects loops, because they are just a giant pain in the butt.
Can be, absolutely.
You really do have to tweak and learn and understand exactly how it works and incorporate all kinds of other devices to make it work right for your situation. And as Dan keeps saying, a couple of key exceptions are Mesa and Friedman, whose loops always seem to work pretty well for me anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say hello to Caputa with a double C, who says, I have a 63 all original Strat in excellent condition. The pickups are a little thin and I don't want to change them. Any suggestions for a fatter sound? Yeah, you could swap it. Swap that Strat for any one of my guitars apart from this one. You can't have this one, but any of these others, you have any of these other guitars for your 63 Strat. Turn it up.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. That guitar, if the pickups are original, if everything is as it should be, that guitar should be pretty serious guitar. 63, they were, the general trajectory is they started to get fatter through 60 into 63. Late 64, I think it was, maybe 65, they changed the pickups to the different kind and things all changed a bit. But some of those 63s, they're some of the fattest sounding Strats I've ever heard. Rosewood board ones.
Yep, totally. If for whatever reason that's difficult, grab a compressor and stick it at the front and use that to give it a bit of lift and fatness and evenness.
Or a clon style.
The clon thing. We'll
Clon
sort
style
it out.
works really
Yeah.
great for strats because it just gives a little bit of. It keeps the top end nice and present, but it also just beefs out the mids a bit. It does lose a bit of bottom end, which you might not want. So a Wampler tumnus. Buy a Wampler tumnus. There's your answer. Yeah, so do that. Good. That be us. That be us. Thank you very much. Yeah, cool. Thanks for being with us. Friday's show will be on compressors, funnily enough.
Oh yeah, and there's a
couple corkers in there.
Yeah, man, there really is.
I know we've done compressor shows before, but the theme is we take a MXR Dynacomp, original one, and a Boss CS3, and we say, look, up until quite recently, these, or derivatives of these, are pretty much the only guitar compressors we knew about. What's changed since then? What do the new fancy pants compressors offer you that these didn't? And what are some ways you might want to use them?
Have we actually progressed sonically?
Yeah.
And it is super interesting. Yeah.
Dan would say maybe. I would say resoundingly yes, because I don't like either of those other devices. But the new ones,
Oh no,
I really like them.
Yeah, I really like the new ones as well. But I am heartened by. I always knew the Dynacomp had that very special thing that it does, and I love it. But the CS3 sounded brilliant.
It really did.
So good.
We weren't really expecting it, were we?
No.
Because we're snobs, man. No, just because we hadn't heard one for a long time, but it was very satisfying. Anyway, so that's us. We'll see you Friday, and then we'll see you again next Monday for more fun. Won't we know what will have happened at NAMM?
Yeah. Be all over.
Yeah. The new Gibson Les G. The Flying G.
Very good.
Actually, that has already been done, to be fair. But, yeah. Close out, Dan. See you soon.